So, did you want to hit play?
I think it's pretty good. There's an agenda. Okay, cool.
Okay. You want me to put it in the phone?
Slideshow.
Good. All right. You're welcome. Oops, excuse me.
Okay. Are you all in the right place? This is the workshop series for the graduate research engineer development, and I have here several of us here. Dr. Tobin Walton from sociology, he's up there, and Dr. Salil Desai is here, and Ms. Wanda Johnson Taylor, she's also be presenting today. Okay, so let's get started here. So this is the first session on orientation. Okay, so this is our agenda for today. We're going to do a small activity on getting to know each other. A lot of times we meet, but we don't know each other. So we're going to do that first, and then we'll work through the rest of the agenda. So, Tobin, you ready for that one?
Yeah, sure. How's everybody doing? So I'm Tobin Walton. I know a couple of you. I've run into part of a couple of other projects and what have you. So we just wanted to get you all together. A big part of what this project is all about is establishing networks and relationships among engineering graduate students so that you can enhance your sort of perspective on your abilities as a researcher and engineer, so on and so forth. So yes, we're going to get you all together and do some networking and some little activity to get you all to know each other. So what I'd like for people to do is we've got these big sheets of paper, and what we're going to do is we're going to have you all complete what we call a group resume. And so we were going to count off, but I think I'll just have them work in there where they're at. So we'll pick, let's see, we've got 4, 8, 12, 16, 24.
To turn around maybe in groups of 6?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, just right at the table. So why don't we organize ourselves in groups of 6? And these tables are pretty decent for working with these big sheets of paper. So, like for instance, we could have the people that are facing this way turn around and face the group behind them. And as you get yourselves in groups of 6, then I'll give each group a big sheet of paper. What we'd like for you to do is kind of work together and talk together and brainstorm together the answers to these questions. We'll provide you markers. And so what we want to do is we want to see the names of all the people in your respective groups. We want to see the disciplinary background that each person in the group is from. We want to see where you see yourself in 10 years. And you may or may not have a clear thought on where you see yourself in 10 years. Sometimes I certainly don't. So you kind of work with each other to kind of bounce ideas off of each other. What do you think you can see yourself doing within 10 years? And then lastly, what skills do you hope to get out of this program? What are you interested in? What do you expect to get out of this? What would you like to get out of this? And all of that information then we'll have you all, after you complete this group resume, we'd like for you to select a team reporter who will stand up and report the results of who's in your group, the disciplinary backgrounds, where you all see yourselves in 10 years, and what skills you hope to develop out of this project. Okay, I'll be floating around the room, Dr. Rob and others will be floating around the room kind of talking, listening to you, and if you have any questions, we can certainly answer those things. Okay? So if you will now, just kind of move your chairs around so that you can be in groups of approximately 6, and we'll come around and give you all these big papers for you all to start responding to these questions. So if you're coming in a little bit late, find yourself a group of about 6 people to be with, and your teammates will sort of explain to you. You already here to use 14 teams, right? Check out some tables up here. Come up here. Alright, so again, so what we're looking to do is we want you all on this piece of paper to create a group resume. So you fill out the information for people in your group that you see on the PowerPoint slide. Okay? Okay, guys, y'all are in your group working teams, right? You guys, Okay, so what we want to do is create that group resume. Okay, so we want you to put everybody's name on here. We want you to put their background in everybody, as well as this is from their class 2 questions together. Maybe take another 3 or 4 minutes. Is that enough time to get through all the questions? 5, 6 minutes? Hey, real quick, if I get everybody's attention on this third point, where do you see yourself in 10 years? You can't say still finishing my graduate studies. Not fair. We don't want that.
Yeah, you have this. You have almost one take on the second question. What is it about the job? The second question
I know you say you're trying to open a company. But what was
Try to come with some conclusions in 2 more minutes. All right, can I get everybody's attention, please? Can I get everybody's attention, please? All right, so we want to take, in the last little minute or two, I'd like for you all to do a couple of things. First thing, find out who's going to be the person to report your team's information. We want to have one person report the information on the group resume, so you all sort of negotiate and deliberate who's going to be that person. And then lastly, while you're doing that as well, I want you to revisit this last question. This question is really, really important to us. What do you hope and expect to get out of this program? Okay, we want to make sure that we're treating you all in a way that you see this program in business. And we have our ideas of what can work, but we want to certainly make sure that we incorporate your expectations and your perspectives into what we're providing. Okay, so decide on a team reporter and then revisit this last question, just for the last minute or minute and a half. And then we'll start talking.
Computational science. Are you ready to go? Is everybody ready? All right, so let's make sure that we are all respectful of each other. So when the team report out, please be attentive and listen to them. I hope that everybody maybe got a chance to meet somebody new and or learn something new about somebody. So we'll just start from over here, and we'll have this group report out first, and then we'll go here, here, here. And we want to put you on, we are limited on time, so we're going to put you on about a minute to a minute and a half to report your group resume. This is a group resume, so we're going to learn who these people are, what your visions are for the future, and what you think about this program. Nobody wants to do it. Imagine that. Here you go. 1 minute. We have Katie, Maggie, and ECE. And we want electrical and electrical and computer engineering. He wants to work in the industry and promotion. We have Kelvin, industrial assistant. He wants to work on the station. And we have Daniel in EC as well. He wants to work in industry and he does research.
graphical in computer science, industry research. He's interested in network and research. We have Emmanuel, he's in ISP or civil engineering. He's interested in industry and he loves research and network. We have Brian, he's also in ECE. He loves industry and he's interested in research and network. And LC is ISP, consultancy and research and lab research.
Yeah, what about the themes as far as what you all want to get out of this program?
I guess everybody wants to learn how to do research.
We're going to do the best research. Okay, excellent. Thank you. Listener, please.
Giovanni Oshole. Giovanni Oshole, and I'm ISC graduate. He's ISC. My nose is mechanical engineering. Mackenzie mechanical engineering. Davey mechanical engineering as well. Dylan is biomedical engineering. Pfizer industrial engineering. For the where do we see ourselves in 10 years? We kind of kept it as a group. A couple of things that came up were to become a thought leader. A lot of us had an interest in research and development, as well as consulting and other business. As it pertains to this program here, things that we wanted to get out of it was become good at writing dissertations and thesis, communication, networking with other people, learning research skills and ethics, developing critical thinking skills, leadership skills, as well as literature review and citation.
Can I ask you a question real quick? On the thought leader thing, can you all speak a little bit more about what you mean by thought leader?
Actually, that was mine, so I can speak on it. So, as engineers, we tend to not have really the soft skills, a good balance between the soft skills and the hard skills. I don't really like to make that division all the time, but I would like to be in a situation where working with other engineers and we're actually thinking, not necessarily building products all the time, but we're actually thinking like creative things and brainstorming and pushing progress in that way, not being so technical.
Thank you. All right, this group here. All right.
All right. I am Abhay Singh Gaikwad from ISC. So my group has Selvam, mechanical engineering, Santosh from ISC, Johannes from ECE, David from CAE, Shinwin, mechanical engineering, Yan from mechanical engineering, and Nulai from CAE. So as a group, we zeroed upon a long-term goal. Actually, we're on the same point. We are looking for a long-term goal for our group is like long, well-paid job, working in a top management, and keep learning new things. So that's the long-term goal which we all agreed upon. And the skills we are looking to develop in this are networking, the communication, the research, teaching skills, and writing skills. So,
Great, thank you.
Hello, my name is Jessica Ross. I'm about Jay and so this is Joan, this is Felix, Toby, Michael, Lee, and I don't. Okay, so of this group, me, Toby, and Lee are all engineers. Felix is environmental engineer, and then there are industrial and business engineers. Amongst us, we all aspire to and some of the other goals include aerospace, working within the aerospace industry, making money, of course, robotics, Felix wants to be a professor, and being grounded in general and such. And then skills we hope to develop as a group would be, a lot of many of us at networking. Many of us said presentation skills, leadership skills, research and development, like development skills and publishing.
Question real quick. Your name is Toby? That's my name. Next one. Over here.
In our group, we have Eric. He's from chemistry department, and also he's doing now in chemical engineering with research. And I'm Amshira. I'm PhD student in mechanical engineering, and he's Brandon. He is master's student in agriculture engineering, and he's Sharon. He is PhD student in mechanical engineering, and he is Rabbi. He is PhD student in electrical engineering. So as a group, actually all of us, we want to be as mostly researcher, and Brandon wants to be government employment, or he wants to go to politics. And from this program, actually as a group, we want to learn like less of critical thinking, and also we want to know more people and also networking from this program. We want to do that, and Rabbi has written that he wants to develop his teamwork.
Excellent, thank you.
Hello, my name is Samantha. I am here with my group, Ebenezer, Lydia, Khadija, Justice, and Yan. I am the only master's student. Everyone else are cool kids and are PhD students. My background is biomedical, and now I'm in ISC. We have a nice mix. We have electrical, we have computer science and electrical, and we have computational science and engineering mixture in our group. I think about half of us, our goals were to really get the kind of research focus and structure. And we also had some people who were trying to, I know Justice was trying to build network, and we had Justice and Lydia say they were thinking about publications and writing papers, so a nice mixture of foundational skills to go about approaching the research. We have a few different backgrounds. I particularly want to go into healthcare engineering and consulting, and eventually my PhD, but we have Ebenezer, who's working in AI, and Lydia, who wants to start her own consulting company back in Ethiopia. And Khadija, she's going to run IBM or a company, and she's going to be the CEO, computer science software lady. Justice and Khadija and Yen are all working in transportation, Justice and Khadija are working in transportation. And Yen's background is in hydrology. So we have a nice little connection. And yeah, we're building networks. So that's spoken.
Hi everyone. So in our group we have Chang, Mahmoud, and Sheikh. And for Chang, he's in industrial system engineering, and his main goal is to be a PhD candidate at some point, and he wants to do research in AI. And to do that, he'll have to develop skills in C language, programming, machine learning. And for me, I'm a computer science PhD student, and I want to acquire a PhD at some point, and I want to become a leader in the industry and in academia. I hope to develop skills such as people skills and team building, and be able to work in a diverse environment. And to do that, too, I need programming skills. And for Mahmoud, he aims to be in industrial and system engineering area, and he wants to be successful in academia too. And he's in the field of human system engineering, and he wants to do research, and he wants to develop skills in communication and networking. And for Sheikh, he's in nano engineering, that's at the far end, and he's pretty much biomedical. And in 10 years' time, he sees himself as a successful researcher in the field of biomedical engineering. And he needs to develop skills in writing, networking, and people skills.
and to be able to achieve all these goals in time.
So our group consists of MA, who's a mechanical engineer. We have Germany, who's an electrical engineer. We have myself, Clinton, who's a computational science and engineering. We have Benjamin, who's an electrical engineer. Abdul, who's also an electrical engineer. Hanan, who's in computer science. And as far as our long-term goals, we have a mix of industry and research. So MA and Benjamin want to do research in the industry and also working industry, while myself, Jenny, Hanan, and Abdul want to work in academia. Overall goal we want out of this program is to network with people. That way we can help each other learn different things, and then also acquire relevant research.
Well, thank you all very much. So, I mean, I think just on something like a concrete level, did you hear anything from anybody that you might be able to collaborate with? I would think maybe. I don't know, it seems like I mean, I'm no engineer, okay? But it sounds like there's a lot of synergy between the different interests, the different visions you have for your future, as well as your backgrounds and what you're looking to sort of gain. Okay, so thank you all for participating in that activity.
I just have a couple slides to share with you all. I won't bore you here, but we have this is being done under a project from National Science Foundation on developing a research identity. And we have a large team here. We have several faculty. You may recognize some of the names. Dr. Bhattarai from Chemical and Biological Engineering, Bioengineering, Dr. Desai from ISC, Dr. Erulu from ECE, Ms. Johnson Taylor, she's in the back, she's with the LSAM program in the university. Dr. Nicely from, again, Bio. Dr. Limbrick from ECE, myself. Stephanie Teixeira Poit, she's from Sociology, she's a colleague of Tobin Walton. Chris Vogiatsis he was on the line, he's gone. He's now works with the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign. He will be part of the presentations. Dr. Walton, you just met, he's going to present to you again today. And Dr. Sunny from Mechanical Engineering and Dr. Dorothy, chair of the CS. So we have a large team that's working on this, and I just want to give you a glimpse of what we're trying to do here. Our motivation is to help. And this is where I think we can decide this. That's why, like Dr. Walton says, we need more feedback from you, right? To, repurpose what we're trying to do. And all our goal is to see that when you get a research-based degree beyond the classroom, we want you to develop into a researcher, right? Just like if you're a musician, you can play all the music you want, but you want to become a musician, meaning you have to feel that identity, and others should feel that identity too. And we want to get there somehow. So what's the goal? We want to develop and measure. So it's hard to develop a skill when you can't measure it. So that's why the sociologists in our team are really working hard to come up with some measures, saying, where are you now? As opposed to when you came into the program. So they'll have measures by the end of the year. They're working on it. So and developing is what you work with the advisor, you work with this program, etc., and that will be an ongoing activity for you. So there we have two things I just want to share with you. But you are the one in red, Research Engineer Network. That's what we're trying to focus on. We want you to be not isolated, but somehow connected, and that's what research is about. A lot of research endeavors, you work partially on your own stuff, but you need to advertise yourself, right? And connect with others. So we try to work on that here. But the first one, REI, measuring the research identities, that's what Dr. Walton and Dr. Teixeira Poit are working on. We have a third activity called small research groups. We're trying to do this at the faculty level to have more groups instead of one single faculty, which would be better for the students. That's a slower process. We embarked on it, but it'll take some time to evolve. I want you to understand one thing clearly, so you communicate to your advisor as such. Ms. Johnson Taylor is going to talk to you about mentoring. It's really important that you have a mentor. You have all these activities, but someone needs to guide you. You need to bounce off your ideas from somebody. But our point here is that you have your advisor, your research advisor. That's one person. We're not trying to replace your advisor. You still go to them. But layered on top of that is another mentor that we advise you to have, who could be from some other discipline, same discipline, but a different person. So you can talk freely about how you can pursue this research identity. Please remember that. So don't confuse your advisor by saying, hey, I'm going to have another mentor. He's going to be mad with you, he or she, right? Okay, with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Walton. Okay,
that'd be great. So as Dr. Ram, first of all, let me ask this question. How many people participated in this last semester? Couple people. Okay, cool. We got some new people. We lost some people. So if you were in this last semester, if you came to the first session, don't give away my jokes. Okay? Don't give away my jokes. All right. So I want to do this little game. Okay, and it relates to identity. I kind of want you remember. Yeah? I kind of want to talk about the impact that this little activity has and how it relates to identities and how identities motivate behavior, and how identities can really be strongly related to our success in lives. Okay? So what I'd like to do is I'd like to play this little game where I have you all in unison spell this word. When I say go, spell this word 3 times in a row. And at the culmination of the 3rd time you spell it together, I'm going to ask you a question. And I want you to immediately answer that question. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to spell this word, and you can see it on the screen, so I'm sure you won't misspell it. Okay, all together 3 times in a row. So for instance, you'll say 3 times W-H-I-T-E-Y, W-H-I-T-E-Y, W-H-I-T-E-Y. I'll ask you a question, you answer. Everybody got it? Ready? All together now, 3 times, spell. Okay, so we got a couple people. You got it. Cows pretty good? Baby cow. You can do that one. Okay, cool. So cows drink water, yeah, baby cows drink milk. But point being, what did I just do to you if you answered milk? And we had a little bit. This room's a little problematic for this type of activity. For the most part, I'm guessing that most people's minds went to milk. Why? Because it's white. Okay. So the mechanism that's sort of working there is me ultimately pushing an internalized message into your brain, right? White, think white, think white, think white. Then I ask you this question, so you respond with something you associate with white. And it's milk, not water, okay? Well, that sounds kind of like brainwashing and persuasion. And identity is kind of related to that, but it's really related to what we talk about in terms of internalization. And internalization is defined as what you see on the screen, to make something your own. Okay, it's not just that you believe this thing to be true, but you become this thing. Okay, so when we're talking about engaging you all in some of these activities over the coming weeks, we're really looking to develop in your own sense an idea of yourself that you are in fact a research engineer. Not that you like research, not that you do research, not that you know what it is, but that you are it and it is you. And you internalize it. And if you internalize this, then what we find is that you will pursue things that directly relate to being a research engineer. You'll have more confidence, you'll have more capability, you'll begin to mix it up with people who also are research engineers, and ultimately this will have a profound effect on your career trajectory. Okay? So that's the goal here. I love talking to Dr. Ram. This is cool. I never get to do that. So I kind of want to talk just briefly about identity, and I'm going to start with not only identity, but I want to start with just consciousness in general, okay, and thought in general. Is anybody familiar with this gorilla? Who is this gorilla? What was your first name again?
Jay.
Jay. This is Coco. Tell me, what do you know about Coco?
She knows who she is.
She knows who she is. She can see herself in the mirror, recognize herself. She knows sign language. Yes. She knows sign language. Yes. Perfect. Awesome. You know, pretty amazing story, right? Pretty amazing story. For years and years and years, humans thought that, they were so smart and, they were much more intelligent than animals and blah, blah, blah. And in the 1970s, there were a lot of psychological researchers who started really looking at animals and the thought processes of animals and communication patterns. And what we found was that, wow, there's a lot of non-human animals that really have pretty complex forms of communication. Okay? And Coco was one of these animals that they began to work with. Okay? And Coco understood over 2,000 words and could use 1,000 signs. A lot of you all said in here, you want to improve your writing ability. I don't know if I know 2,000 words. I find myself using the same words over and over, especially in my papers I write. I read them, I go, why do I say it that way, right? It needs a little rest. Well, Coco knew a lot of words and a lot of symbols. And Coco not only understood symbols, it wasn't just training. Like, do anybody have a dog? Been around dogs, right? You can train dogs to do all kinds of things, right? You can train them to walk up to the door and leave the doorbell with their nose when they go to the bathroom. Okay? But we're not talking about training. Coco understood abstract concepts. Coco understood things like what it meant to be fake, okay, or unreal or false, good and bad. So Coco was not only just associating these things together, but Coco was able to understand abstract concepts and then apply them to new situations. Okay? And all of that relates directly to what Jay just said, okay, where it's illustrated in what Jay just said. One of the ways that we test the relative level of self-awareness and consciousness and intelligence in animals is to hold up a mirror to them. If you hold up a mirror to Coco, she would recognize that it was her in the mirror. She would touch herself. One of the tests we do is we put a red dot on an animal's head and show them their image in the mirror. And if they reach and touch the dot, it signifies that, they know that dot is on them and they're sort of rubbing it and thinking, weird, right? If you hold up a mirror to a dog, what do you think a dog does? Barks like crazy. Why? Because what? Thinks it's another dog. The image of the dog in the mirror is not recognized by the dog as him or herself. It's thought to be another dog. And so the dog will bark, 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 sometimes attack the mirror until it gets tired and it'll just sit down. Right? We do this with humans too. Little humans around the age a year and a half, sometimes earlier, a year, put a little red dot on their head, and they'll be able to do this. Before that, they see it, and they go, and they grab at it, right? So we can see this development process in humans as well. And what social psychological theory tells us is as we start to form consciousness and a self-awareness, we start to be able to think of ourselves as an object, out here, in relation to other objects. So we can see ourselves as a part of the team, or we can see ourselves as a part of the network, right? And that's part of what this is all about, okay? Being able to see yourselves, not as a human, everybody's got a self-concept at this point in your life, but really being able to internalize that idea that I am a research engineer, and I'm a part of this team of other research engineers. And we, as a group, have these characteristics and qualities that are different from other groups. And this is what they are. And they become you and you become them, right? And you sort of act in that way. All right, so to cut to a quick definition of what identity is and what all these sessions are meant to sort of do, they're not just supposed to sort of give you the skills and abilities. They certainly are, right? That is the focus of those skills and abilities. But those skills and abilities that you get and the sort of disposition you have as a research engineer becomes who you are, how you see yourself, right? So one of the definitions that we often use for identity is who you are, who I am, okay? So what I'd like for you to do, I passed out some note cards earlier. I'm going to throw out a few more. And I'd like to do this little activity real quick. And if you don't have note cards, if you have just a scrap piece of paper, you can use a scrap piece of paper. One little click. Dr. Rob?
Oh, yeah, sure, sorry. That can be started.
We do this little thing called the 20 statements test. Okay?
Yeah.
And what it's meant to do is it's meant to sort of identify the different content that make up what you see yourself as in terms of a research engineer. So if you take just about 3 minutes and write down the first things that come to mind as you answer this question as though you were asking it to yourself. Okay? As a research engineer, I am someone who can write down some of the things that you complete that statement with. As a research engineer, I am someone who
Chris, are you there?
I am here, yes.
And after this, you can say a couple of words.
this is the first thing that comes to mind.
Because I think she's coming back. All right, about another 15 seconds, I'm going to cut you off. We'll move on. All right, perfect. Let's come back together real quick. If you want to keep writing, right? If you want to keep sort of exploring your own thoughts about this, by all means do so. But let me just get somebody to volunteer. Give me one thing that you wrote. What's your name? Ramil? Ramil. One thing you wrote.
My first mind comes in mind that as a research engineer, I'm someone who likes creative but innovative research.
Creative and innovative research ideas. Awesome.
What about somebody else? Never make eye contact unless you want to talk.
I'm someone who can solve the problem.
Solve a problem. So, anybody else write solve a problem? Oh, look at that. Interesting, huh? Yes, Mr. What? July? Yeah. What was the concept? Yeah. Okay. What did you write? Give us one or two things.
As a research engineer, I'm someone who builds devices that help improve the quality.
Anybody have something about improving quality of life or helping, making things better? Awesome, great. Okay, cool. So all of these things that you may have written. Hey, I'm on the spot, okay? Give me a break, okay? All of these things that may be on your paper now constitute what we would consider to be over here the content of an identity, okay? The content, the meaningful content. I'm a problem solver, right? Well, that's an idea. That's a qualitative thing that a lot of research engineers share. They see themselves as problem solvers. Another quality or content of a research engineer identity is this idea of being creative and innovative. Okay, one of the things that Dr. Teixeira Point and my colleague in sociology have been doing over the last several months is we've been hosting a series of focus groups with some of you, but also with faculty and industry research engineers from across the country. And we've been learning a lot about the different elements in terms of the identity content. So not just the skills that you're going to kind of pick up from this particular program, but as I think Giovanni said, the quote-unquote soft skills, which I don't like those categories either, but the underlying sort of social and psychological dimensions of being a research engineer. Not just, oh, I can manipulate these things, oh, I can do some coding, not just that stuff, but the more social psychological aspects of what it means to be that research engineer. Okay? Now let me try to go just a little bit further into this before I cut you off and before the pizza gets here, because then nobody pays them. We have the identity content over here, but then if you look across the top row here, personal attributes, roles, and group memberships, what we find is that content of a research engineer identity can map across these different sort of levels. So being creative is really sort of identity content that fits here as a personal attribute, right? Whereas somebody said problem solver, well, that's more of like a role. That's something that you do and you're expected as a research engineer to do this. And then on sort of the more macro level, your group membership. And what that refers to is the ways in which research engineers might see themselves and compare themselves to other groups as being different. Okay, we are sort of this, and they kind of do that. Let me ask this question to kind of get at this group membership level. Do you ever get frustrated with people who you see don't really like take the time to figure something out and they just kind of or they don't understand how something works and it's just kind of like they're sort of just kind of like mindless and thoughtless about it, right? So that's one of the things we started to pick up on in some of these focus groups. Some of the ways in which research engineers see themselves as fundamentally different from other groups. Okay, so we're gathering all this information from research engineers that are practicing in the field and academia and so on and so forth, and we're mapping it to this sort of theoretical framework. And what we're then going to do is working with the engineers that are running these sessions, we're going to develop and design activities and knowledge-based sessions where some of these elements are hopefully worked on in small group settings and what have you, so that we can move Oh, that was a screw up, sorry. And so part of that involves engineers getting together. Here we are right here, right? You all are of like mind. You're developing research engineers, but you all are of like mind on these various ways. And so we get you together. We have you do networking exercises. We review, sort of practices and skills and so on and so forth. And as we go through these processes, your identities as research engineers will begin to mature and develop, and then they will become this powerful motivator of behavior. But it won't be, once again, it won't be like, oh, I want to do this because I think this is a good thing. It will be, I am doing this because this is what I do. right? It's no longer something objectified and outside of you, and instead it is you. Okay? But anybody with questions or thoughts about my little talk there? Because pieces here, look at that perfect timing. Man. Okay, well, we want to cut them loose with pizza. That's all I got for now. Nobody's got any questions? Come on, pizza.
Want to say something about the
Please.
logo?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. How about this logo, right? How does this, let's do that. Thank you. Good question there, Ron. How do you see this from my little talk there? How does this logo of this overall program, how do you think it relates to the underlying sort of like identity theory? What do you say? It's a fingerprint, right? And what's true about fingerprints? Their identification, right? That is your identification. That is your identification, especially if you do something bad. Yes?
So my question was, we're establishing this engineering research engineering. How does this relate over to when you go out into industry and you're no longer necessarily a researcher per se, but more so a function on the team? How does that how would that help?
Gotcha. Great question. Jay, just Jay. Well, interestingly, that whole teamwork thing, okay? We've spoken with some people that are industry research engineers. And industry sometimes can be different in the sense that the engineering or the research agenda is kind of defined for the engineer. But what we found from talking to some of those engineers is that identifying as a team worker sticks with you through into the industry situations. Likewise, that creativity and innovation, a couple of the people we spoke to from industry were describing how even though the research agenda is sometimes defined, that creativity and innovation can itself sort of define for the company where that company goes. And so now it's not as though like you're going to develop it here and you go out and it's sort of no longer used. If you develop it here and you go out, it will merely enhance your experiences out there. Right? In addition to, again, the skills and the abilities that go to grasp as well. Any question? Anybody else? Question? Okay, Dr. Rowe, take over.
I think it's time for pizza. Get yourself a plate and pizza, and then let's talk some more. I think they almost.
So maybe let's wait a minute or two while they get stuff set up. And then maybe should we do sort of an orderly fashion? Yes. Yeah, why don't we go table by table or something like that? And since this group was nice enough to start presenting their group resume first, we'll let them go first, and then this group, and then that group, we'll follow that order if that's okay. All right? Are we ready?
Chris, you want to say a few words?
Hi, everyone. So I'm the one that Dr. Ram introduced earlier about having moved to University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. I look forward to interacting with you, even like virtually. Actually, let me turn on my camera. That way you can put a face to the name. So I'll be giving some of the seminars that you'll be attending over the next weeks. And you can always reach out to me if you have any questions or if you need anything from me. I look forward to that.
Dr. Christophus was a professor in industrial and systems engineering. He's now at the Institute of Technology. We'll do a few sessions and he'll be available to connect with. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. Enjoy the pizza. I'm sorry I can't be there.
Hey, and so while you all are eating, I'm going to go ahead and bring around some of these little Post-it notes. And while you're eating, if you want to come up with any questions you might have for the team, and then after we eat, we'll compile all those questions, and we'll go ahead and we'll try to address those questions as best we can. So this way, if you write them down, you don't have to necessarily identify who you are, what questions you're asking. Just write your question down, and we'll try to address it after we eat. Okay?
He's on this side, so you can come on. He's up.
Yeah, so there's going to be anybody out
So what comes up next? What's next on the agenda?
Slide on what's coming on the next two programs. I think we're going to ask them to write the questions down.
Yeah, okay, I'll remind them of that.
I'll put a sticky on the wall, so whatever they write, you have to answer it. I guess we can do that. But we just get them the questions. I don't think we can answer them.
No, yeah, maybe we'll just index them.
Oh, it's down mooring.
I didn't bring my umbrella. I'm going to have to go across it.
Do you want to borrow mine? I just have to go. I have a class right in here. You borrow it?
No, it's okay.
I know where you live. You'll be right there.
So let me just take a second reminder about we put post-its out there. So if you have questions, please go ahead and write any questions you might have on those post-its. We thought we might be able to have time to get to those questions today, but we probably won't.
Tiffany wanted to get something.
So what we'll do
Oh, I'm good.
write those questions down, collect them all,
Maybe in a little bit after.
index them, and we'll make sure that we address them in the next session, and we'll address them in the Blackboard, in an announcement, or something like that. Okay, so make sure you ask any and all questions you might have about this program and the team. Okay.
So we're trying to wind up here in another 20-25 minutes, right? So can I have your attention, guys? Okay, a few things before we close out for today. I want to first introduce to you Dr. Stephanie Teixeira-Foyt. She's the other sociology professor who's working on this. Want to say something?
Oh, sure. So I'm a medical sociologist. My research really focuses on health disparities, but how that relates to this project is I look at how to engage researchers, future researchers in the workforce to develop work related to healthcare. And so I've looked at different strategies to get students, both undergraduate and graduate students, engaged in research and really change the trajectories of their careers based on that. So I'm really excited to be working on this and to be able to network with y'all.
Thank you, Stephanie. I just have one slide to talk about the rest of the program, rest of the sessions here. So we have, as you have seen in your sign-up sheet, we have 8 more sessions this semester, and of those, 2 would talk about the initial part of how you start a research, offered by Dr. Bhattarai and Dr. Sanyi. 2 will talk about networking by Dr. Chris Vogiatsis and me. 2 will talk about writing papers and publishing and so on by Dr. Desai and Dr. Limbrick. And then we have 2 more sessions that You see there that says career preparation talk by corporate researcher and career review and preparation talk by federal lab researcher. We hope to have one person from the corporate world, not just corporate world, but researcher in the corporate world, and a Fed lab researcher. And the goal here would be trying for them to tell you, and I want to be a very focused talk on what is it that they would be looking for in hiring a person into that, into their force, similarly with Fed lab. So that would be those 2 sessions. So we have, 8 more sessions after this. But I think the important thing about today is that everything is about building that identity. I don't think we'll be here holding your hands a few years from now. So it's up, once you build that identity, I think, as Dr. Walton said, and Dr. Teixeira could also attest to this, once you have that identity, it's almost like an engine that's going to drive you, right? But that you have to build that engine. So with that, I'm going to let Dr. One thing I had. So Tobe and Walton had given each of you a sticky sheet. So normally for every session, we'd like some feedback. So this is our feedback. So I would request you, while it's fresh on your mind, take a minute. Why don't we take a few minutes before our mind goes to something else? Why don't I give you about 3 minutes to write any questions you may have on that sheet? I'll collect them. We won't have answers for them now, but we'll have them answers for them in some form. This set of workshops will have a Blackboard site that you'll all be subscribed to. So everything that we need to have, the slides, etc., everything would be on the Blackboard site. And similarly, the questions I have from you, we'll try to post answers to them on the Blackboard site. Yes.
Can I ask you to do one other thing on the card? This session, for those of you who were in the last in the fall, you'll notice that there's some differences in terms of how we roll this out. So what we'd really like you to also do is give us some feedback in terms of what worked and what didn't. So not necessarily good and bad, but if you're going to do this again next semester, what really worked, what you can keep, what's been helpful, and what might be improved.
So it's almost like building a recipe. We know some ingredients, but we don't know what you like. We're trying it out, honestly. I don't know. We're making changes, but kindly give us feedback. Take a few minutes to write them. We'll give you 2 minutes, but if you're not done, it's okay. We'll move on and then get me the feedback. Okay? So 2 minutes.
Or the card. So on this again, is any questions that you might have that we can answer for you, or get an answer for you? What we would recommend that we keep what worked, and what might be changed to make it better? You can use these, or if you have a card, either's fine. Either something like that.
1 more minute, but don't feel the pressure. You can do it slowly, okay, afterwards. But we're going to start and finish up the program. Okay? No rush. Okay, so we'll get started with the next part of this. Okay, I want to introduce to you Ms. Wanda Johnson Taylor. She works with the LSAM program, and she's very experienced in this topic here on mentoring. So as I said, you really need this as an important element in your development, and she's going to talk about this and the importance of having a mentor.
Let me ask a question. How many folks in this room feel like you have been mentoring? What defines that as a mentoring relationship? Someone who is checking up with me in my professional and academic affairs. It depends on what the mentor is for. Because I have professional mentors who only work with me regularly and emergency associated things. I've had personal mentors who help me do psychological things. But basically somebody who's there to help guide you a new something. So one of the things that's important about encompassing and enhancing your research identity is having mentors that are part of your experience as a graduate. One of the things you want to make sure that you understand is that you have an academic advisor. That person is not your mentor. That's not the role that they're serving in your graduate education. They may become a mentor, but don't make the assumption that they're going to act as a mentor for you. So the advisor is really sort of driven by the academic side. That person is going to make sure that you're in compliance, that you're meeting your benchmarks, that you're progressing towards your degree, and making your benchmarks towards learning. So that's what they're focused on. That person is not necessarily going to be a person who has a different kind of personal relationship. So mentoring for most people, you think of it as someone who is, as Jay said, connected to you, supporting you, encouraging you, giving you advice that is not necessarily directly aligned with your academic career. So what is important for you to understand is that they're going to help you focus on your personal and professional growth. So it is also important, as Jay alluded to, that for most of you, you would have, and we would encourage you to have more than one mentor. So there are mentors who are going to be of more value to you if you are going through some kinds of personal. There are mentors who are going to be of value to you in terms of industry or where you want to go career-wise, because they've been on that path and they have helped, they know the benchmarks, they know the system class, they know where you're going and what the pros and cons are, how you should move forward. So what we want to encourage you to do is create what we call a mentoring network. And we are, but the creation of a mentoring network and developing mentors is on you. Okay, it's a relationship that you initiate and that you manage, which is important. A lot of times someone will say to someone, well, I want you to be my mentor. What does that mean? What are you expecting out of the relationship? What do you want that person to help you grow into understand better? So before we began thinking about the mentoring relationship, you have to know what it is you want to accomplish. And there are a variety of folks who can help you in terms of those relationships. Oftentimes, for example, if you're just entering graduate school, you may decide that it's important to you, you may identify, say, a senior PhD student as a peer mentor who can help you understand what the department is like, what the hurdles are, what the things are that you need to understand more clearly. So it's going to be important for you to think about managing your mentoring network. So what you should do, what I'm going to encourage you to do, is communicate your goals. So if you come to someone and say, okay, Jay, I want you to be my mentor. And Jay says, well, what does that mean? You should have an answer in terms of what you want that to look like, where you want that to help, where you want that to go, how you want that person to be in relation with you in terms of achieving the goals that you have accomplished for yourself. What most of the research shows is that one person can't be your mentor for every aspect of your life, every factor of your life. there are going to be some folks that you may want to have a mentor who comes from the same background that you do. May have the same identity as you. But you may also want someone who's going into a field that has expertise that you want to truly understand and understand that profession. So it's important for you to then think about mentoring. It's not this, I'm going to find this person and then I'm going to say, okay, you're my mentor, and every problem that I have, I'm going to bring to you, you're going to help me solve it. That's not the nature of a mentoring relationship. It really is a relationship that's a give and take, that you are responsible. And what you'll find is that what it allows you to do is to see yourself differently. Again, we're talking about identity. When you have different mentors that are speaking to different parts of who you are, as you are coming together in terms of your engineering identity, what they help you do is define yourself in a way that clarifies. So they help you see where you're going and see how that path is going, where that path is going. So what we are hoping to do is we bring in corporate speakers and others to come in and talk to you about industry and other areas, is for you to be thinking about, okay, if this is where I'm going, what do I need to know? What are some of the things I need to understand? And how do I identify the folks that can help me do that? And so over the course of the semester, there'll be some conversations about this. There is a link on the last slide that Dr. Ron's going to put in Blackboard, which is a very quick read, very easy to read, but one of the things that I like about it is it has a checklist of some of the things, of the questions you might want to think about. What are the things you're thinking about as you're going into? And then how do you have those conversations? So, as I said, over the course of the semester, we'll have a lot more conversation about it. We'll have more opportunity. So let me ask you this. How many of you have, when the survey went out, identified someone that you wanted to serve as a mentor? So if I were to ask you, do you think you have someone in mind who would be a great mentor for you? So that's part of what we'll work on. So helping you to think about what it is you need and where you can get that from. Any questions?
So let me add a couple things here. So one thing is that we want you to really take to heart the idea of identity. I think you'll finish all your academic requirements, you get your credential and so on, but that in itself doesn't give you an identity. I don't think so, at least. It's not a lasting identity. It's a piece of paper, and you go with that to some job, but what's going to keep you interested, motivated, etc., is going to be that identity. And I think, and it's multi-pronged approach to developing it. So just pay attention to that. And mentoring, to add to what Wanda Johnson Taylor said, I think that you may have a long list of what you want from a mentor, but don't be disappointed if one mentor can give you 2 out of the 10 you have in your list. It's okay. As long as they can wholeheartedly give you 2, that's good, right? So it may involve investment in time from you, but it'll also involve investment time from them. So what we offer you through this project, I think, is that we want to see more of you have mentors. There's no compulsion here, but if you need a mentor, just email Wanda or myself, and so we'll find one for you. But I guess you need to say something about what you want in that mentor and see if you can find somebody. It may not be perfect, but be a start, right? And be clear that we're not trying to replace your advisor. Please don't communicate that clearly to your advisor, and I'll be sure to tell your advisor that.
And
these are 2 different roles. Pardon me?
And they're not necessarily trying to be your best friend.
Yeah.
It's not a friend. It may evolve into one, but don't look at it.
So we continue with the other sessions beginning next week. Try to respect the sign-up sheets that you have already signed up for. I think it's a bad practice to sign up for something and not show up. Just like I have a conference paper planned, but close to that date, I get cold feet and I don't want to go. That's a bad way of building identity, right? So we don't want to do that. So I have your list. What I do is just like I did today, I'll send you a reminder on the day off. because we get a lot of emails. Maybe the today is what the email would say. So you know you have a commitment, right? And only those that have that commitment that day. And we'll have a Blackboard site. I've not set it up yet. And all of you, it will show up in your Blackboard site automatically. You say something like GREID program, and all the resources for that will be posted there. Okay? Thank you all for coming, you know. Thank you.
Excuse me, does anybody grab a green beak and partial handicap? A green beak partial handicap? Trash can outside the door. Yes. Yes, I think so. Exactly so. Sure. So what's the best resource for it's next month? I think March.
There's two things. One is the online resources, which are pretty good. And the second thing is you can really present, so you can get over your humanity.
Yeah, I do know how it's yeah,
So you know what to expect.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's what to expect, and then what's expected of you in terms of how you present your research.
The first thing is the relativity. When it's not very late.
Yeah.
I can send you some links. You can look at that, and then the best thing